the groups that I selected for today, I selected at random. And then those that don't present today will present on Monday. Those that do get thrown to the pool for the extra couple of slots for Monday. So there will be a couple of lucky groups that get to present twice. Can't quite present.
Presenting Monday, are we presenting Sears and K Mart, or is it
No, you'll be presenting a red box. Yeah. So I will be the timekeeper here. So I will put up a 3-minute warning. So you have 7 minutes. 3-minute warning, a 1-minute warning, and then what we'll do is when we finish, when your time is finished, then we'll have 3 minutes for questions. While you're fielding questions, the next group should come up and get hooked, use your flash drive to connect, pull up your presenters.
Is the question session for you or for all of us?
So it's for all of us. So yeah, so this will give all of us a chance to ask questions of the team that's presenting about their strategy.
Yeah, that's great.
So I don't actually know. I went through. I assigned these. So I remembered this was team 1. Which is team 2? Team 2. Okay. So you'll get ready when they start questions. Team 2, team 3. Team 3. Okay. Team 3, team 4. Maybe team 4 is still prepping. Did I forget to call on team 4? Okay, team 5? Okay, just the 2 of you today? Team 6? Okay, team 6 and team 7? Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and we'll turn it over to team 1 for your presentation on Sears. Yeah, I will go forward.
Okay. Our team's recommendation for changing Sears K Mart's strategy is to follow a 3-step plan. First, consolidation, taking 2 very different businesses with different unique values and creating one focused business. Second, move out market, leaving the discount retailing business or industry behind, and focusing more on home furnishing, mostly furniture and appliances. And then the third step is to ally with IKEA and build our own brand while through offering attractive IKEA products. So first, consolidation. If you look at these 2 pictures, you can
Just one point of clarification. So you actually want to sell IKEA products through Sears stores?
correct. So if you look at just these 2 pictures of Sears and K Mart, you can tell that Sears and K Mart have very different stores, different feelings, different unique values, and they have to deliver those values in different ways. In other words, they have 2 different strategies. So the why we want to consolidate is to focus on one strategy that they can be successful at, creating a business, a culture that is attractive to customers. Also, in order to move into a new market, we need to build Sears brand. So we want to consolidate everything under Sears. We need to build that brand. And using combining the marketing budgets for the 2 companies actually gives us $1.6 billion to focus on building one brand rather than 2. So we propose to consolidate by doing 2 main things. Salvaging our top brands that we have under the Sears name mostly. Kenmore and the relationship with other top suppliers of top brands. Also, we want to convert as many Kmart stores as we can into nice Sears stores that will allow us to leverage the Sears brand in more locations. Currently, we reside in this vertical where we compete with Target and Walmart. If you combine the 3 revenues of these 3 companies, Kmart only claims 3% of those revenues, which is why we suggest that they move into a different market, the home furnishing market. Now this isn't a completely new market for Kmart and Sears because Sears pretty much already resides in this market and Kmart already does do furniture. So we're suggesting that we focus on this market. This market is attractive for several reasons. One, it's less competitive. Although it's smaller than the retail market, the profit margins we'd be moving from a negative 3% profit margin into an industry that has 4 to 8% profit margins on average. This market also allows us to utilize and leverage our current resources and capabilities to be successful here. Currently, as a consumer, when I think I need to buy a couch or I need to buy a refrigerator, there's not a store that just pops into my mind right away. And we believe that Sears and Kmart under Sears can actually become this dominant player. Also, as a consumer, when I go to Walmart, I can get everything that I need in one spot, which creates switching costs in my mind, or in my mind as a consumer. So that's really big in the retail industry, but it's a lot less in the furniture industry. Also in this space, we have opportunities to innovate, such as no hassle return policies, same-day online shipping, where we can actually leverage our distribution system to provide shipping. You can order something at 12 o'clock and get it at 3 o'clock that day. So the strategic alliance with IKEA. IKEA currently has the third most valuable retail brand in the United States. Sears is still the the biggest appliance retailer. And combining their two capabilities and resources, we believe that we can actually provide a need for the customers. When I'm creating a home, I want to be able to go to a store and get beautiful, affordable furniture and reliable appliances all in the same place. And combining these resources, we'd be able to provide that for customers. You might think, okay, well, why would IKEA want to be with Sears or Kmart? The alliance would actually be mutually beneficial. Sears would be able to bolster their brand by selling IKEA products in their stores and attract more customers. IKEA actually would increase the locations where their products are sold by upwards of 2,100% over the 5 to 10 years this strategy is implemented. There's also other opportunities to innovate in distribution where you can, the arrival of your products will come faster. Other synergies will lie in the economies of scale, in the resources and capabilities that are complementary, and also the consumer scope of both companies will actually broaden as a result of this alliance. So as a summary, the market we suggest that Sears Kmart moves into is the value home furnishing market. The unique value would be that they offer is the accessible, beautiful living for customers. And they're going to deliver that value by an expanded resource and capability pool, which includes design, distribution, marketing, and store locations. And then their barriers to imitation they would need to build is one, probably the biggest one, their alliance with IKEA, and location, and also the distribution channels that they create.
Thank you very much. Ready? Let's go to questions. I'll go ahead. I'll typically start, and then the rest of you side. 2 quick questions. So you said the return on sales is 4 to 8% in this furnishing space versus like 4%. Right. But the turnover tends to be much higher in a discount retailing business. So did you look at what the return on capital is, employed capital is for the furnishings versus the discount retailing? Do we know whether actually the return on capital employed is better in that business?
I don't think we did.
Okay. And second is, with an alliance, you have to bring something to the table. So what do you think you bring that would make IKEA want to ally with Sears? And what if they don't? How does that? Do you still want to try and do the same thing, just in a little different way?
So the value we feel like we brought was kind of like with an Apple AT&T deal, where Apple benefited from AT&T's distribution of and building their infrastructure, right? And so we feel like IKEA could benefit in the same way. That we provide locations, we provide shelf space to sell IKEA in a wider variety of places. Currently, they only have 38 stores, and if they sold through Sears, they would jump to. Sears currently has 52 stores, and
in the U.S.
And then that doesn't also include the stores Kmart's returning to Sears as well. So.
Okay. Other questions?
So with the alliance with IKEA, like assuming IKEA would want to do the alliance, how difficult would it be, or like what would the cost be, or with changing a Kmart kind of store format to fit kind of that IKEA experience? Because I'm assuming IKEA wouldn't want to lose like that unique value of kind of first you have any kind of furniture you want in these kind of huge warehouses type store, and you just walk through the whole thing, and a couple Kmart's can fit into IKEA warehouse. So how do you imagine you needing to change, assuming that IKEA would do the alliance, how would you need to change that model and approach to the consumer to fit the Kmart stores that you're offering?
So, from what I understand, I think it's going to be a smaller distribution channel, right? So it's not going to be a huge superstore like the big IKEA stores. So they wouldn't cannibalize their own stores, but it would provide an opportunity to just more channels to sell their products. So they wouldn't have the big a selection, but their products would be in more places. And so, and as for the cost to change the stores,
I just continue with that. So they're going to keep the Kenmore, the Craftsman, the Die Hard brands, ones that are still doing well in their Sears. But then on top of that, they're adding in the furniture aspect from Kmart, like the good furniture that's selling well at Kmart, and the furniture aspect of IKEA. So they're adding in, so it's not going to be the same showroom style, it's not going to be the same warehouse style, but they're adding that in so that they can bring customers in because they're still IKEA brand stuff. Does that make sense?
Last question.
Again, about the IKEA Alliance. So I know Sears, as it stands, has like a 10,000 person network of technicians that help with installation, servicing, etc. of the appliances. Whereas IKEA has a very take it yourself, build it yourself. Not really any help there. Do you have any discussion about how you kind of reconcile those two different customer services?
yeah. So we feel like with the way that IKEA products are packaged, that we could actually utilize those technicians, the delivery system, to actually provide, to create synergies that would provide value. For example, the same day where I can order a table or a desk from IKEA, and then that same day from the nearest Walmart or from the nearest Kmart, or I guess it would be a Sears at that point, that they actually be able to get it that same day. And so we're hoping to utilize the simplicity of the distribution model of IKEA, and then the other capabilities that Sears already has too.
So the service people would go out and they would build it for you and you set it up at your house.
Yeah, possibly does.
Okay. All right, we got to move on, but thank you. I'll try and create a label for each of these at the very end. I actually am going to have you vote on which strategy you like the best. The way you determine which strategy you like the best is which one you would be willing to put your money behind investing. That's sort of the ultimate test of whether you think something's a good strategy. So with that, Tyson, back to you.
Okay, great. So we were looking at Sears, and what we found was the biggest problem is that they just didn't have a unique value, right? There's nothing special about Sears anymore. And so we decided to change our strategy a bit and turn Sears into a one-stop shop for men, okay? So basically this is a place where guys can go and they can get all their shopping done, and it does two unique jobs, okay? First of all, it's just a quick and easy way for men to shop, right? A lot of men don't like to spend tons of time shopping, but at the same time they want good quality products, right? And they want to look good or whatever, but they don't like shopping. So this will provide a way for them to quickly buy everything they want, right? So they can get everything they need from just one store. And the other thing it does is we're going to create an enjoyable experience for men where they can go to kind of hang out while their wives are shopping in the mall or something like that.
Yeah.
So unique market. It's like a large man
Exactly.
in the mall. So our target market here is a broad retail for average to high income males in the U.S. And we did a table here of kind of the four main industries that would be a part of this one-stop shop: the men's clothing, sporting goods, hardware, and electronics. And we looked at the 5-year growth rate, the four-firm concentration ratio, barriers to entry, and industry cycle stage. Now looking at all of those, the conclusion is that the individual industries are growing a little bit higher than GDP, but competition is increasing. So overall, the individual industries aren't extremely attractive. So we decided to go ahead and coin this term, the specialized diversification. You know, from finance, you decrease your risk by diversifying your funds. So we're diversifying by including all of these industries in this one-stop shop, but it's specialized, creates unique value because we're focusing exclusively on men. So thus we are differentiating ourselves instead of competing directly with like Walmart and Target and them.
Okay, so this is actually a need that is out there, right? We have Target for women and Walmart for more of the lower quality products, but there's not a place for men to go where they can get good quality products and just get them all there, right? So first of all, Sears can utilize some of its current resources right now. Okay, it has a lot of convenient locations in the mall, still has 788 locations, and it also has good quality brands, okay? They can use Craftsman, Land's End, and just put those in the store. And finally, Kmart, we found while it's not a huge, doesn't hold like a huge market share, it's still profitable. So we can leverage the profits from Kmart and kind of put it into Sears to get this new strategy started. Then we'd also have to develop some new resources and capabilities. First of all, the store layout. We'd make it very simple for men, maybe like color code it and the brands and colors like really obvious. So
We need simplicity.
Walk these easily and pick up everything they need. All right, and then the other thing we would do is have.
Is red hardware different than green hardware? Just,
No.
It's environmentally friendly hardware.
Anyway, so we would also provide excellent customer service. So we would put experts in each section, okay, that know like what exactly is that the men would need, and like guys don't know a lot about fashion. So there's fashion experts so they can say, okay, you want this and you want this. Same thing with sporting. So we'd have very good customer service. Also, we'd create a unique customer experience, okay? So in addition to the get through the store quickly, we also have kind of in the back, like, things for men to do if they're just kind of passing time. So maybe like a miniature golf green or something like that. Electronics that they can play on in the electronics section, as well as just like demonstrations throughout the store so they can go and like watch the new hardware, innovation or whatever, okay? And and finally, like, a big problem with Sears now is just like every department is kind of competing with each other. So we want to unify that and put everyone under the same goal of we're going to create this unique value for men.
And so here's kind of implementation. We did a rough pro forma statement. We obviously made a lot of assumptions going into it. But the main things to point out is that revenues will drop initially as stores are reformatted slowly, going countrywide. Then they'll increase as unique value is implemented. Focus first on those mall locations. Leave Kmart to continue bringing in profitability and revenues. The cost of sales will decrease with the revenue and then increase as we change relationships and we establish relationships with suppliers. And then as we achieve economies of scale, those costs of sales will then decrease. Selling administrative costs will increase because we'll have to invest heavily into advertising. This is a new kind of value, a new concept of a store for Sears, and so advertising and doing event sponsorships will be a big part of promoting the actual stores. And then finally we have gains of sales that occur as we continue to sell off these properties and Sears stores that aren't bringing in a whole lot of property revenue. And so summary, we have our market. We're going to create this one-stop shop for men. The resources and capabilities, we've got the format of the store, the customer service and experience you can't get at other retail stores, good brands, mall locations, and then a unified organization. And then bears imitation are mainly the locations of the stores themselves and the mall space that we will have. And so with that, that is.
So, two questions. One is, we know that women are the primary shoppers for families in the U.S. Do you have a sense for sort of men's shopping? Do you have a sense, will there be enough demand, enough men to go out and shop to be able to generate the volumes that you're anticipating?
I think one thing that this will do is it will invite more men to come out shopping. Women will eventually see that this is a great store to buy men's things. They may not really understand a lot of it themselves, so that they'll bring their husbands or their boyfriends over out with them, and then thus it'll create more of that demand.
Yeah.
Because it's an untapped market right now. I think it's something that can be.
And the other thing is, like, women can go out and they can just shop and they enjoy that. while men don't just like go out to shop for fun. So what we're gonna do is by providing this experience, they can go there and they can kind of just like, people have couches, they can just hang out there, meet new people, hang out by the putting green, you know. So it is kind of like a man cave, but yeah, essentially it'll bring out these men who are going to all these different stores and consolidate them.
And you think that men and women are going to feel comfortable having their men buy their clothes at Sears?
Say it again?
Do you think that men and women are going to feel comfortable having the men buy their clothes at Sears?
We're going to focus on having like good brands, trendy brands, and everything that men will be looking for.
So yeah.
You might want to turn that over to like Land's End, right? Create a brand within a brand,
Yeah.
so that all of the clothing has a unified brand.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions?
So, the departmental model for retail assumes that cross-selling is an important aspect of it, right? But like if I go to the sporting goods section, the whole idea of convenience in retail is that I go to the sporting goods section and then I can also get my wrench that I needed at the same time. Otherwise, I would just go to Home Depot or I'd go to Best Buy or something, right? So, those departments, how often do you think cross-selling happens? That you go to the hardware section and then it turns out you also need a basketball, or you go to buy a shirt and you also need a wrench.
I think part of that is that we'll be having those demonstrations happening throughout the store, and so that will catch people's attention as they're walking through if you're going specifically to buy, you know, a sporting good, but yet you see this new hardware product being demonstrated by the side, that may bring you back to that section.
So are you expecting impulse buying?
Probably more impulse buying.
There will be. That's why you have the demonstrations and that experience there. But I mean, it does happen often that people do, like at least, I know that my dad would always go out to Home Depot and have to go over to Walmart to grab something else and then a different store. So it does happen often where men have to go out and have
specific
things from
lists.
different departments that they have to go buy.
So it could be
I would
both.
say that does happen often.
There's one more question.
So the unique value, right, is this exclusive man cave type of thing, right? So, and because of that, we're saying that it's not going to compete head to head with like the Walmarts and Targets. Do you think it would still have to compete head to head with Walmart and Target, not because they offer those things exclusively, but because they offer them inclusively with all the other things that they offer? They still offer hardware, they still offer clothes, etc. Do you think, what will that competition look like with the inclusive offerings with your exclusive?
Yeah, you're right. So there is kind of indirect competition with Walmart. The thing that sets this apart is there's the customer experience and the service here that isn't found in Walmart or elsewhere. Here you have the demonstrations happening. You have the customer service. If you need help installing whatever it is that you bought, appliances, you have people there to help you do that, whereas you don't get that in Walmart or elsewhere. So that's kind of what separates it apart. Is it's not just a huge warehouse Walmart type where you kind of are on your own. You have lots of help, you have lots of expertise there, which will differentiate.
And the other thing is that Walmart, this is going to go a little higher quality than Walmart, right? Nobody goes to Walmart to buy clothes, mostly. But like it's going to be a little higher quality that they can feel comfortable and be like, okay, I feel comfortable wearing this in a business situation or whatever. It's going to be higher quality, which is why more people will go there.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Address the questions as the next group's coming up. So you also might think about setting up the store more as this is our garage, right, in the garage section of the store, and everything you need for your garage, and here's our entertainment room, right, and you set it up like entertainment room. So, and some of them you may need the sports center, right, or the appliance center.
Yeah.
Is this 4 here? Is 3 going right now?
3 is going now.
Oh.
Are you guys
Is this team 4 here?
Was there ever a 4? Did I not assign a 4? Okay, so we'll go team 3, and then you were assigned as team 5?
Yes.
Okay. We'll go to 5. I was going to say, that looks like a similar strategy.
Okay, I guess this will be. Yeah, this is best. Okay, so our strategy is going to be focused on creating a unique value of high quality customer experience. So up here, we just outlined some of the things that we want to change about Sears. In our mission statement, or our strategy statement, we're going to increase profits by becoming the convenient, high quality provider of home appliances with exceptional customer service. So those are the three things we're focusing on here. High quality products, convenience, and exceptional customer service. And we feel like some of those are already Sears core competencies. So we're going to work with those and kind of get rid of the things that are holding them back. And so the 5 things that we focused on were selling the retail stores of Kmart and Sears, opening new, for lack of a better word, Apple-esque stores, maintaining the knowledgeable employees, initiating Sears Care, also may sound familiar, and then promoting a comprehensive website that actually already exists but is not widely known. And so we'll talk more about each one of these. First of all, Sears has about $10 billion or Sears Holdings has about $10 billion in assets between land, the stores, and the furniture in the stores. And so, after a little bit of research and also anecdotal evidence, we've realized that Sears and Kmart stores are not exactly helping them. They they take up a ton of money, and then also we've heard a couple of things online about experiences of customers. For example, this one that I liked a lot was somebody commented that when they walk through Sears, I feel like I have to hold my nose sometimes. So it's not exactly helping with customer relations. Another experience was that somebody who had never been into a Kmart store for the first 20 years of life went in and it was just basically empty. He's not going back. And then also a lot of their business is transferring to the online sector, so we're going to have go with the change. And like we mentioned already, they have over $10 billion in these fixed assets just sunk into these stores, and they're not generating good customer relations or customer rapport, and they're also generating high variable costs. We weren't able to find a number for that, but if you have over 3,000 stores, I imagine the utility bill's pretty high. Oh wait, oh no. Okay, so then the second thing we mentioned that we were going to build several new Apple-esque stores. So what we mean by that is that we want to build small stores, small kind of posh, modern design stores similar to the Apple stores in high volume locations. So in large cities or places where a lot of appliances are purchased. And then stock those with helpful employees. We're going to talk about that more in customer service. What we've seen so far is that customers prefer to walk into stores when they're looking for expensive items like home appliances, but they're also warming up to the online purchases. So these stores would serve for people who are really resolute on shopping in the store, but it would also help and serve as kind of a display case for people who maybe want to buy online, want the convenience of buying online and the shipping and the installation, but they still want to see the item. So they're going to walk into this store, and like we mentioned before, we're really focused on this great customer experience. Buying a new fridge or a new washing machine is an expensive purchase that often comes at a stressful moment in someone's life. They just got married, or their washing machine or refrigerator just broke down and they're having all their food rot, so they just need something and they want to have a good experience. So Sears is going to be the place to go. It's a clean place. We're getting rid of these old nasty stores that you have to hold your nose to walk through, and we're going to replace some of them with these smaller, modern design, nice stores that people actually want to be in. Think of an Apple store.
So, just so I'm clear then, you are going to focus solely then on appliances and in these new stores. And what about the existing Sears and Kmart stores? Are you going to close them, or are you going to convert them to all appliances?
Like we mentioned before, we're going to sell the vast majority of the retail stores. If some of them happen to be in advantageous locations, we may keep them and convert them. But by and large, Kmart discount stores are not in particularly nice areas, and that's kind of what we're getting. One of our teammates mentioned that the Kmart across the Pro Town Center is not exactly in a nice area where people want to be. So we're trying to avoid that, and we're trying to get rid of that kind of bad image that Kmart and Sears already have. Okay. So then, what we're really going to focus on as well is the customer service. When customers are buying something big, like an appliance or like a home appliance is a refrigerator or a washing machine, they really want someone who knows their stuff because they're sinking a lot of money into it. And so that's what we're going to focus on. One of Sears' core competencies has always been their very knowledgeable employees. They're really knowledgeable about the products, and they know the different things that the customers are looking for. One of our other team members mentioned that they bought a microwave earlier, at some point last year, and that they never knew that there was so much to learn about a microwave, and that the Sears employees were really helpful and that they knew their stuff. And so basically when a customer walks into one of these new stores, they will be helped from the beginning, from the door, to find what they need, to find what they're looking for. The stores won't be very large. They'll hold like the most popular items. And if the employee isn't able to help the customer find something that they want right away, we're also going to have this new website, which we'll talk about more later. We're going to have this website that's very comprehensive and very helpful. And they'll be able to access the website from in-store, and the employee will help them navigate it and help them find something else that may fit their needs better. And then once people do find something that they want, the Sears employee will facilitate the purchase of that. They can either buy it from the store and just take it home, or they can actually buy it on the website in the store. They can go home and finish shopping and buy it on the website there. Together with this customer service, and we found some information on how much people actually want salespeople that know what they're talking about, but we're running short on time. So we're going to talk a little bit about Sears Care. This is actually designed after Apple Care. We don't have enough time to come up with a catchy name of our own. But Sears is also known for the repairs. I believe one of the people in the class mentioned that they have over 10,000 repairmen working. And so we're really going to focus on that, on the Sears Care that provides warranty and repair services and service throughout the consumption chain, from the moment they buy it to the moment they have to dispose of it. If they have a problem with their appliance, they know who to call, and they can get good care right away. The last thing we're really going to work on is this Shop Your Way website, which already exists and is actually very popular. The CEO of Sears, Lampert, mentioned that over 70% of purchases are coming from Shop Your Way members, which is kind of like this Pinterest website that Sears and K Mart have developed. It's actually really cool. So we figure if we can promote that and it really integrate it with our customer service and the in-store experience, that could be an even bigger part of what Sears is going to generate revenues. On this website, we'll also have the option to, or an inexpensive option of delivery and installation. So that's just another part of our customer service. And so what we want to get at is that we're going to raise profits or return to profitability by becoming this big, high-quality provider of home appliances. Oh, forgot to mention. So Kmart, the Kmart store experience isn't exactly what we're looking for. It's not the greatest thing about Kmart. So we're going to keep all the Kmart brands for the moment, and they're all going to be online, available on the Shop Your Way website. If the Kmart brands continue to do poorly, then we're just going to sell them. We're getting rid of a lot of the bags that Sears doesn't need.
Question, probably Sears, perhaps their best-selling line is tools. Well known. What about tools? Where does that fit?
Those also, I'm sorry, so yeah, the Kenmore, Craftsman, all those like appliances and home appliances, I should have been more specific, will be available in the Sears stores on the website.
Tools, so you go to this appliance store and you also buy tools.
Yeah.
So it'll be appliances and tools. Mm-hmm. And you said that the stores won't be too large. Is the goal of these appliance stores to offer the best selection of appliances anywhere?
Sears will offer the best selection of appliances anywhere. We will, in the store.
You're going to have a broader selection than they have at R.C. Willey, Home Depot, others.
And we can accomplish that. We're creating this store. We're gonna have the best selling products that we believe will fit the needs of most of the customers. However, because of this new online thing that we're going to integrate, we're going to have them in store. So imagine a computer in the store. The customer doesn't find exactly what they need at that moment, and the employee says, "Okay, we're going to show you our website," and he can pull up the rest of the things that they happen to not have in store at that moment, and they can talk about them right there. And then the person can either go and continue looking at them, or they can just buy them right there.
Questions? Go ahead, I'll let you choose.
Go ahead.
So, other stores like Home Depot and other places, they have Kenmore brand, they have Craftsman brand, they have Die Hard brand in their stores. So what's going to bring me to Sears instead of going to Home Depot where I have all those things, all those same brands available to me, plus the vast amount of other products?
The experience. Like we said, most people when they're buying a washing machine or a dryer or most home appliances are going through a stressful point in their life. Their food is rotting, or they just got married, or something bad's happening, and they don't want to deal with it. Marriage is good.
Are you married, Scott?
I'm not.
Okay, there we go.
And try helping me out.
When you see an opening, you gotta take it,
And I won't be tested. Anyway, so yeah, it's the experience we're going for. It's a stressful experience. Imagine, are you married? Yeah. So imagine your fridge breaks, and is your wife going to be happy with all the rotting food? No, she wants to go somewhere where she can be helped by people who know what they're talking about, and she can easily find a product that she wants. Without
Who's
hassle.
asking the question about character? Okay, so you're married, so you're smart enough to go get an extension cord, right? And plug it in somewhere else. It won't work, will it? Move the food. It actually will be a hassle.
Yeah, it's a huge hassle, and so we're really going for convenience and the customer experience. From the moment you walk into the door and you're going to be helped by people who know what they're talking about, to the quick and inexpensive delivery and installation the very same day or the very next day.
So Nathan had one last time.
So I think appliances account for only 15% of revenues for Sears. So you think that this is going to be able to produce sustainable revenues for them to actually continue business on 15%?
That's an excellent question. Likely, profitability is what we're going for. Honestly, Sears is too big and it has its fingers in too many industries. We're trying to consolidate. They don't need to be so diversified at this point because it's really just not working out for them. We're trying to return Sears to profitability. If that means downsizing initially, we're going to do that.
And does that 15% include tools, or is that just appliances?
It says just appliances, but it might include tools.
Yeah. Yeah.
You say you're planning on keeping some of the Kmart products with kind of the design that you guys are talking about, having it be like Apple and be all modern and stuff. What are some of the ways that you guys are going to be able to put Kmart design and like their products kind of mediocre at best?
That's an excellent question. We're essentially going to think, so we're going to keep the Kmart brands for the time being, and they're going to be exclusively available online. We're not going to soil the Sears image with the Kmart products. We really want these nice stores, right? We don't think Kmart fits in that. But if they're profitable, if they can generate positive revenues online through online sales, we're going to keep them. The moment they become unprofitable or they continue being unprofitable, we're just going to scrap them.
Got it.
We feel like Sears has a lot of baggage.
Okay, last question.
So talking about this Apple store idea. So you go into Apple, you see cutting edge technology on these glass tables. You go into Sears, you see these glass tables, this wonderful, and you see a blender on top of it. So considering it costs like $8.5 to $10 million to outfit an Apple store, not counting lease or inventory costs, and only $100,000 to outfit a Sears store, how are you going to make this investment, and why are you going with such a high level brand to display blenders?
Great question. We're going, and it's not necessarily a blender, it's a refrigerator or a washing machine. There's a lot of different stuff and there are a lot of expensive products, a lot more expensive than any Apple product, right? And so we're trying to showcase it here. Sears is a high quality store. They do have high quality brands. They're good at what they do, and they really always have been since Sears Roebuck catalog started, 150 years ago. And so we're trying to return back to that image. And so we're investing in these expensive stores. First, we're gonna be able to justify it because we're gonna have a lot fewer of them. We're not gonna have 30,000 of these really nice Sears stores. And we're trying to display our products. So if somebody walking in and seeing this really nice blender on a glass table is gonna help them, and we think it will, being in a nice clean area, then we're gonna go with it. Also, recall that we're cutting over $10 billion in assets. We're gonna have the money to be able to convert into these few nice stores, these few nice store display cases. Did that kind of answer your question?
Yeah.
More or less.
Very good, thank you. Russell, did you get the email that you guys were Team 4 that you were?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
Well, we first.
All right, then we'll move you to Monday.
Okay, good morning everyone. I'm Taylor, this is Logan, and we're excited to share with you today on how we plan to reinvent the Sears Kmart strategy, more specifically through consolidation of its brands and moving Sears upmarket and specializing in its product portfolio. So we're going to analyze this strategy through a typical strategy framework. I'll be speaking more to the market and unique value that Sears plans to make, and Logan will take it from there and talk more about the resources, capabilities, barriers to entry, more about how to implement that strategy, how to get there. So, situation is, we can see Sears' old strategy of being the discount retailer. They've slowly lost their competitive advantage as bigger stores, Walmart and Target have come, moved into space, outpriced them, and have stolen a lot of their market share. And so we've seen declining revenues over the last decade or so. So, where should Sears move? So, we decided to look at two metrics on how do we gauge the competitive landscape. On the vertical axis, we said average SKU count per store. So this is a measure of the scope of the store. So, and then on the x-axis, it's average value of products sold. So basically, how many products do we have in the store, and what's the value of those products? So when you get an understanding of that, you can tell that Walmart, I mean, they have, you know, somewhat low quality, smaller goods, but they sell a lot of it. I think an average Walmart superstore is 150,000 SKUs at any given time. As we move down, Target's up in that space, top quadrant being that discount retailer, and move into some of these more specialty brands, selling higher end goods, appliances, small motors, working to Home Depot and Kohl's and Lowe's. So what we plan on doing right now, Sears is on that borderline of still a discount retailer and in their specialty stores, but also mainly in the mall kiosks. And we plan on moving them into the specialty store area, specifically in focusing more on the appliances, on their motors, the larger goods, and consolidating their stores to only have just a few SKUs at any given time. So by doing that, they promote a new value proposition where they provide customers with first, best-in-class home appliances, and second, best-in-market installation, service, and repair. That has to do with their 10,000 technicians, that infrastructure that's already in place. By doing that, they'll have a more consolidated, easy-to-navigate storefront and exclusive access to some of the top brands and newest models when it comes to refrigerators, when it comes to washers and dryers, lawnmowers, major home appliances.
It's just this time here.
Bottom here.
Okay, so we're going to break down how and why Sears is capable to do this and why we're in the best position to do this. So first, raise capital. We talk about boosting Sears. On the flip side, that means we're going to reduce Kmart greatly. We're going to sell off the vast majority of their PPE, as well as our Sears specialty locations that we're currently holding. So this should raise us approximately $7 billion worth of capital. Okay, with that, the merger between Kmart and Sears is a beautiful opportunity because it allows us to optimize our distribution system. Kmart currently has their own independent system, as does Sears. Combining the two will allow us to cut costs, pack our trucks even more full, drive down, will increase our cost advantage, and also increase our profit margins against our competition. We're going to move up market, which means we're going to ditch the whole retail side of Kmart. And I actually know Sears is still, they're slinging some clothing and things like that. So we're going to step away to that, and we're going to be focusing on what we're best at, which are appliances and tools. Everyone here did the research. We have Craftsman, Kenmore, and Die Hard. Those are our big brands. Those are our money makers. Sears is not limited to selling those brands. You can actually pick up products like Whirlpool and such through a Sears store. So we're not limited to our own brands, but our own brands are big money makers. And then we're going to take the newly raised capital and redirect that to research and development and marketing. We're going to boost our own brands, and our R&D will maintain our first mover advantage. So as we're able to constantly come up with the new cutting edge technologies, as cutting edge as you can get with a washer, a dryer, or a blender, we'll maintain that first mover advantage and stay one step ahead of our competition. So our barriers to entry, obviously we don't want to move up market and then have our competitors chase us there and steal our market share. So the two biggest, well, we have three huge barriers to entry, two main brands that we're talking about. One is our established service network. So as Claire spoke about, we have over 10,000 highly trained in-home service technicians. If you have any issues with our products, we come to your house and we do repairs. We also help you do install. So that is incredibly hard and incredibly expensive to replicate. Two, strategic alliances, both upstream and downstream. So upstream, we have our bread and butter, our biggest brands that account for the vast majority of our sales. That's what we're going to focus on. But downstream, we also have the advantage we don't have to
do all of our sales in-house in a Sears location. We have agreements with Ace Hardware, Costco, where they can also move our Craftsman brands or Kenmore brands and boost our sales that way. So as we pursue more of these alliances, we'll boost our sales and increase our market share. Questions?
I'll start. So eager to get to the questions. So how will you signal to customers that we move up market and we're different? Do you have a new name? Do you have, how are you thinking of renaming or rebranding? And actually, I want this to go to the other teams that have presented so far and the ones that will. What's your name? Is it still just Sears, or are you changing or adding something? And I'm assuming you're not going to call it Sears Man Cave. It might be Sears something. I don't know. How do you hope to signal to customers that we have moved up market? We're no longer Sears of yesterday or new Sears.
So Sears is currently the #1 provider in home appliances. Craftsman is also one of the top brands. So they're already viewed. That is their products. The capital we gain by selling out Kmart locations in those Sears specialty stores, we're redirected to research and development and marketing. So the marketing skew, we don't want to change the brand. Sears is a highly trusted brand. It's been around since 1800s.
But you're going to have some signal. I don't know whether it's an advertising campaign or something that's got to signal the new Sears, right? That this is, we're now focused on this. We're moving up market. We're, right, more scale. You know, we're higher scale, higher quality.
I feel like we have the budget to do so by selling up the PP&E from Kmart and especially stores. It's $7 billion, which is that's a lot for a marketing budget. So we could easily come up with that marketing campaign like we discussed. Resource capabilities moving forward. I don't know. We need to talk about what that specifically would be, what it would be.
So if you sell off Kmart, then you have 800 stores left, 800 Sears stores in the United States, and you lose, what is it, like, what do we find, $14 billion of revenue from Kmart per year. So how do you plan to make that up, and do you have the expanse, or you spread wide enough for 800 stores to be profitable?
Sure. So the strategy behind Kmart is we realize they're in a tough space. Instead of trying to differentiate them, we're just going to squeeze whatever revenue we can get out. There's a lot of Kmart stores right now that are not profitable. Those ones get shut down, sell the real estate, funnel that capital into rebranding Sears, keep the other Kmart stores that still are profitable, keep them in place, use those profits to also fund the new Sears. But I mean, we do expect the Kmart brand to continue to decline as Walmart and Target and other retail stores start to eat up the rest of their market share. One last question.
So we talk about selling Kmart, and I'm not super familiar with like, selling kind of assets. When you lease a space, like Kmart leasing a store, can they sell that, or do they just stop leasing it? They just stop leasing it?
They stop leasing.
So Kmart's stores, of the 1,100 or 1,200-ish stores they have, 1,000 of them are leased right now. So do you think you'll still be able to get enough capital from the about 200 stores that are owned by Kmart to do this?
On their balance sheet, their PP&E and assets are listed. That's what's listed as the $7 billion. So I don't think they can put leased space as PP&E owned. Can they do that? Can you put leased
I'll
space?
have to admit, I'm not up on that
So,
accounting
I mean,
rule, but I would think. I know it's shocking. Yes, there are many things I do not know.
Either way, that's what I watch. Either way, it doesn't matter, right? If they stop leasing the space, then they have no revenue.
They're going to
have
save
no
money
money.
either way.
So, I mean, they may not own it, but then they're instead of spending money on the lease.
My take on it was
That
that
it's
they couldn't
simpler
put
than selling
property they didn't actually own
just to
on
keep
their
it.
balance sheet.
All right, we've got to move on to thank you. All right, team 6. I'll give you a 3-minute warning.
Before 10
minutes. 3 minutes before the 7 minutes.
Awesome. We're Team 6. Ezra, Blake, Michael, Derek, and I, Bill. And we have our
strategy for revamping Sears Holdings Corporation. So their current strategy is something that we analyzed so we could figure out what changes they may need to make, and we found that Kmart is kind of in the home consumer, Sears is in the home consumer products and appliance market, and they're the *1 retailer of appliances still. Tools, lawn garden products, home electronics, automotive repair, these are kind of the things that are inside a full-size Sears store. And Sears has some unique values. Their sale and service of larger home consumer products is kind of something they're doing really well. This SHOS is a new company. It's called Sears Hometown and Outlet Stores, and it's doing really well. They're kind of expanding to these rural areas. It's kind of like Walmart. They're getting to these rural areas so that farmers and people living in rural areas can come and buy these appliances, and they're servicing them really well. And it's actually a franchise model, so they're better able to meet those needs of those smaller areas through franchising. And the cost to open one of these stores is about $100,000 with a $25,000 franchise fee. So this is part of a very profitable section of Sears Holdings, and it's something they're doing really well right now. Kmart, we don't really know what the unique value is. One analyst was quoted as saying, what is Kmart's core competency? They really have none to speak of. And so that's kind of something we focused on and thought a lot about, because we have to turn this around and make this a profitable company. So some of the resource and capabilities, locations is a big one. 75% of America is within 15 miles of a Kmart. We try to compare and contrast that to something we know, and we found that 90% of Americans are within 15 minutes of a Walmart. So it isn't everywhere like Walmart, but it is a huge presence in our lives. So Sears is a historically trusted brand. They've been around for over 100 years. People know them. Even those of us, even now that they're not doing well, many of us still know Sears, and Sears has had some kind of influence in our life. After the merger, Sears Holdings became the third largest retailer after Walmart and Home Depot, and that moves Target to fourth. And both companies have their own branded products. Kmart has Joe Boxer, Route 66, Martha Stewart. Sears has Kenmore and Craftsman and other brands as well. Some of the capabilities that the merger produces is a bigger supply chain distribution system through combining those things, and Sears is well known for customer service. It's something my mom really likes about Sears. It's something that keeps her going back and forth to Sears to buy products. So some of the barriers to entry right now are geographic monopolies, like this Sears Hometown and Outlet kind of venture they have going on. Since they're in small rural areas, once you have one store, you really don't need another one. Sort of similar to the rural Walmart strategy. And that company actually opened 10 stores in February of this year. So they're picking up steam and growing. So our strategy is kind of bold and decisive. We're going to drop the Kmart brand entirely. It's been stagnant for a very long time. They had a $98 billion loss, operating loss, $1 million loss, in just the first 3/4 of last year. So they're really struggling, and we're actually going to get rid of the brand because it's kind of developed a bad image. And we're also going to compete up market with improved branding and customer service, mainly within the Kmart chain. So we're dropping the Kmart brand, and we're using some of the stores to some of the strategically picked stores. We're not going to keep all our stores. We're going to actually remove a lot of them in locations that we feel like we can't use this strategy in. And we're going to improve the branding and customer service experience. We're going to continue with the franchising of the specialty and appliance stores, the Sears Hometown and Outlet stores, which are doing really well. And we're going to reassess our costs. And what I mean by that is, one example that we found was the game Apples to Apples. We all know what that is. You could look online for it, and you can see that it was for sale on Walmart.com for $15, on Target.com for $20, and on Kmart.com for $22. And
So they need to reassess their costs so they can at least offer products at competitive prices. Perfect. So we have our department stores that we're moving out market to sell to the middle class and create a viable, pleasant online experience, which is something that consumers can trust. We want to directly compete with Target because in that market we feel it's higher margins. With our specialty stores, we're going to continue franchising smaller locations, and with the merger and the greater capabilities that the two companies have together to provide service and delivery to a greater geographic range, we're going to exploit and leverage that. Some of the unique value that we want to create is redesigning the stores and changing the shopping experience, which is a huge deal in Kmart's, especially right now. We want to create a clean store that people feel like they can enjoy themselves and feel more comfortable. We're going to modify the name, and we're going to use marketing. You know, Kmart had some successful marketing campaigns recently with the big gas trucks and the ship your pants and stuff like that. That type of marketing works to let people know.
Ship.
Ship your pants in big gas trucks, okay? Those advertisements were very successful in reminding people that Kmart existed, but they really hadn't done anything about their image. And so we're going to do something about the image and then change everything. We're going to aim to be the Nordstrom of mass retail by helping people to feel comfortable purchasing, returning, getting help with their products. And the franchise convenience, like I talked about, we're going to continue to do that. And we're actually going to purge some of the non-profitable product lines that Kmart has, and we're going to focus on building on the profitable ones. Okay? Some of the resources and capabilities we want to have is better hiring and training to overall change the experience that people are having, and hire knowledgeable people to optimize the process, as well as spreading costs over a greater structure. We want to saturate the market, particularly with hometown and outlet stores, and create loyalty programs to keep people coming back more often. And that is our presentation. Are there questions?
My question is, you're going to have the department stores, you're going to have the SHOS stores is what they're called here. So the first question is, how do you brand those both differently? Do they have different names? And do you see any concerns? Are you going to run those as separate business units, or are they sort of coordinated and run together?
Excellent question. We were thinking that we're going to drop the Kmart name, and we're going to have the department stores we didn't come up with a name. So we were thinking S-Mart, but we thought that was too close to Walmart and Kmart for that matter. It wouldn't create enough of a difference. So we wanted to have a name that was affiliated with Sears, because we feel that the Sears brand is trustworthy and people know it, and we would be more likely to trust a new kind of department store venture bearing a name similar to Sears, some kind of subsidiary name. Thank you.
So you said that Sears is a really trusted brand, and it is an old brand. So we found this analyst who said, I'll read it to you. He said, according to reports and ratings from analysts, customers, stockholders, experts, Sears is one of the worst companies to work for and has the worst reputation of any company in the world. And then he goes on to talk about it for like 2 paragraphs about how they're terrible. So my question is, specifically, what kind of things would you do to change the brand, to move it to an upper middle class, make people trust it again, and I need Sears, I need to be in Sears?
Because it's a leap to go from Sears to Nordstrom, right? And you're trying to move to this very high quality brand and experience.
That's a really good question, and it's going to be a task for sure. I'll say a little bit, and then we'll let Billy answer a little bit. One of the important things is that Sears has been around for so long. We can leverage that. We've been around, we've been taking care of your needs for 120 years, and we are committed to improving your experience, and that's going to be a large part of our marketing campaign.
And just, Professor Dyer, we're not looking to become the Nordstrom. Nordstrom is differentiated on customer service and providing that, and so we want to provide that type of customer service, but not in the same market that Nordstrom is competing in. More in the Target sort of market. So.
Right, but you want a brand that conveys great customer service like Nordstrom,
Yeah.
right? And so there's the issue of, do you keep the same brand, which you now have to change a bit the image, or do you try and launch a new brand that actually, and try and convey something new with a new brand?
So we're confident that Sears has value. And it may be tough to kind of uncover it, but we believe that you can do that, that we can do that. We're not going to bother with trying to do that for Kmart. We're going to leverage Sears, which we believe is a better brand, to change the customers' minds about where the company was, and say we're going back to how we used to be. We are here and committed to providing you with a better experience.
So
And
Team
over time,
7,
we hope it'll change.
if you can start getting ready, and we'll take one last question.
Question about the SHOS stores. Those are more specialties that are like auto, hardware, and stuff like that. Is that correct?
So they're hometown and outlet stores. They sell a lot of appliances at greatly reduced prices because they are dented or they're scratched, which are something that a lot of people don't care about as long as they're getting this, they're having this job being done for them for a much lower price. So they're highly profitable. The article we read says that they're 8% profitable in that market. So appliances, and some of that other stuff.
Okay, so I saw you had other stuff on there. I was gonna say like, why do people go to your store for like auto and hardware? You have Ace Hardware, you have Napa Auto, you have all these other stores that already kind of solve those needs in these more rural areas.
Yeah, the hometown and outlet stores definitely kind of lean way more towards appliances.
Okay.
So they're kind of a discount appliance retailer, and they're saturating rural areas. So they're doing a really good job of doing that. The average store's operating income just goes up by about $240,000 per year as a trend.
Great, thank you. Team 7, we hope that those stores aren't successful because they're denting all of the things as they send them to their regular stores.
That's true. That's a good point.
All right. Okay, so I guess we're Team 7. We're going to talk about the merger strategy for Sears K Mart and then mystery brand Arte that we're going to introduce. Since everyone's pretty mentally exhausted at this point in the class, so we have some beautiful animations to help you understand our initial strategy. So right now you have Sears with all their stores and malls and Kmart with all their retail locations. We're actually going to cut the Sears stores in half, and Sears is going to keep half of those. The second half is going to turn into this new brand called Arte, and then we're going to take the clothing from Sears and Kmart and bring those to Arte, and it's going to be kind of an in-mall Kohl's that can undercut JCPenney's and Macy's. And then we're going to slowly phase out some of the less profitable Kmart stores, keep what's profitable, which leaves us with Sears focusing. Sears, so since we're cutting clothing, we're also going to cut consumer electronics, so we're going to focus on kind of what everyone's been saying, the more man side of the store. This is going to be appliances, tools, and auto. Leaves Arte in the mid-tier clothing space, but in the mall. And then Kmart is going to remain the discount retailer grocer.
So for Sears, kind of along the same lines everyone's been saying, their biggest sales are in their major appliances and their tools, and then they have their auto stores that are doing pretty well. So we're going to kind of refocus Sears on what they do well. As an example, we have in consumer electronics, they have less than 2% market share compared to Best Buy, it's 43%. So they're not doing very well there, so we feel like it wouldn't be too big of a deal to just drop those and it would help our profitability. Sears is still the leader in appliances, even though they've been shrinking lately. We feel like if we can refocus on that specific section, that we'll be able to maintain and rebuild our dominance in that area. The unique value we're going to offer is kind of like being a showroom for appliances. Sears has a really great online presence that they're able to drive traffic with, and then we have these locations in the malls that people can come to, kind of like people who talked about an Apple store, where it's that for appliances, but then you've also got, it's more of like a manly store. You've got the tools there, you've got your auto stuff, your home appliances. And we feel like if we rebrand Sears in this way and focus on what they're good at, and do some advertising to push people to the stores, saying that, hey, this is where you come, this is your appliance super center. You know, you can come here, pick it out, you can buy it online, we'll deliver it, we'll set it up, we'll maintain it throughout the life of the product, and really focus on that, on what we do well already. that will be able to succeed. And then we'll push that using advertising and then online ads to push traffic to the Shop Your Way website.
So on Kmart, their market, it's going to stay the same. It's discount retailing. And grocery, their unique value, we're not changing a lot about Kmart. More, we're just we're streamlining it, cutting the extra baggage like a lot of other groups have talked about. Pushing the Shop Your Own Way, kind of using that synergy that we're going to have with the Sears online presence. The unique value is the brands that they already have, their location, distribution synergies that they'll pick up with the merger with Sears and then this new brand, Arte. So again, as a whole, it's struggling. And kind of our goal, so right now we have 31% of sales coming from apparel. We're looking to be more of a Walmart apparel type store, so Walmart has 7% of sales coming from apparel. We're looking to scale it down to about that slowly over time, and then at the same time phase out the less profitable stores.
So where this all comes together is combining the clothing retailing into these Arte stores. We figured this is the perfect opportunity for Sears and Kmart because Sears has a lot of stores in malls right now that may not be the best locations, especially if we're going strictly appliances and tools there. So we were able to convert those stores to this new mid-tier clothing store and use the capabilities of both Kmart and Sears in producing clothing and rebrand it completely, getting away from both Sears and Kmart brand and pushing it with celebrity endorsements and with the prominent locations in the malls to build like a Kohl's style store, that kind of like mid-tier clothing, but in the mall. And these numbers here this is the current apparel sales for Sears and Kmart. So that's what we're going to have to make up because we're cutting it out from the other stores. We'll leave some in Kmart, but then these are the numbers that the current stores that we'll be competing against are making. So we feel like we can take some of that combined with hopefully recapturing our own clothing sales into these stores. As well, at the same time, we're going to be cutting costs from slimming down Kmart and from refocusing Sears onto what we're good at and profitable at, and then increasing our revenue in clothing by having this additional store.
Because everybody knows that you can't go to a JCPenney's or a Macy's and get a suit for less than a couple $100, and it's a kind of crappy suit anyway. So you're going to want to get the suit that's endorsed by Brad Pitt and Angelina for half the price, and it's going to be cool when there's an Arte in your mall. It's not going to be in every mall. It's only going to be half of the Sears locations at first, and then hopefully it'll grow into more locations. But it's really going to be like the Kohl's of the mall, that you get good clothes, cool brand, for a more affordable price than JCPenney's and Macy's.
So this is really a value strategy. Yeah, this is where you're focused on the clothing. Here's my question. Introducing a new brand. They already have 2 brands, and now you're actually going to be running 3 different store formats, right, with different value propositions. Does that just potentially complicate things more for Sears and Kmart that you've now added another brand? And as I think about Arte, is that how you? Yes. Here's. You call it Here's. I was thinking if you were going to target maybe the Latin community of the Kmart, you could call it Kmarto, right? I didn't know whether there was something about that name or that brand that conveyed the value that you want. So sort of the challenge of what do you see as the main challenge of now having 3 brands, and these are going to be 3 separate business units, I assume. And if they are, then what's the value of having them all in one company? What are the synergies that you get across the business units?
So it will complicate things if you're adding another brand, but you're also accessing resourcing capabilities that the 2 brands already have. They both already do clothing. They have distribution networks where they have where to make the clothes. So you're accessing that, as well as the deep pockets of these large companies to be able to start this upstart company. And then you can cross-sell between the stores too. They're going to be unrelated brands, but you can still advertise Arte clothing in a Kmart store. You sell clothing there, and Sears and Arte.
So Sears, Arte, and Kmart would all have some of the same clothing?
Or you're pulling
Sears-
clothing
Sears-
out completely out of Kmart
Cutting
and
it out,
Sears?
cutting it out from Sears and slowly taking it, moving it significantly down to Kmart.
Okay.
So kind of right now, Kmart and Sears are so spread thin with all their different product offerings.
Just Sears would be more hard goods.
Right. And they have these great resources, but they're not exploited to the fullest because they're not focusing on any specific specialization.
Okay.
And then we think our take could be successful by digging into the deep pocketbooks of the Sears holding company initially to really get it off the ground.
I have a question. So Sears already tried to go and buy Land's End and move that in and gain this clothing department, but it actually ended up that Land's End, once they joined Sears, became less profitable, and now they're trying to spin it off and it's really failing. So how do you think this would be different than Sears' attempt?
Does Land's End have physical store locations or both?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So what they don't have with Land's End, from what I believe, they're keeping Land's End as a separate entity. They kind of haven't mixed it with the Kmart brands like Joe Boxer and whatnot. So really, we're looking to get the synergies from bringing all those brands together and rebrand it as something new and then be more profitable that way.
Yeah. So you're taking the clothing out of Kmart's, and right now that's about 31% of Kmart's sales. Think about how that will affect your Kmart's. You maybe dragging that down to 7% is going to actually turn your profitable Kmart's into unprofitable Kmart's.
We thought about that because it's taking a significant portion of the revenues out. Our hope is to regain those revenues from selling the clothes in our stores, so that that'll equal out. And then Kmart has, we made an assumption that clothing isn't driving the sales at Kmart. Like when I think, oh, I want to go get clothes, I don't think I go to Kmart. But you go to Kmart to get other stuff, and then you see cute clothes and you buy them. So we're assuming that people will still go to Kmart and buy other things, and clothes isn't the driver. We can regain those sales in other stores.
Very good, thank you. So in some ways, what would you consider to be a current store that is closest to what Arate would hope to be like?
Kohl's.
Kohl's?
But they're not. But Kohl's locations are just like random.
Yeah, they're different. So they're in the mall. So I was wondering. So there's Kohl's, which has one sort of brand, and then there's H&M, which. They're a value player, right?
They're a value player. In my mind, H&M is less department store feely. They're more like young, hip, fashionable.
Right.
And Arte is more. I don't really put H&M and Kohl's in the same category.
No. Well, other than the fact that I would say that they're both sort of in the value space a bit, right? They're trying to have good offering, but for a reasonable price. I think is what they're shooting for. Okay. So before I get some input from you on this, all right. So here's what I want to do. I want to just quickly go through. We have. Just want to get a sense for how you come. So team one, name or some way to remember your
IKEA.
Okay, so this is Sears Furnish. We'll think about sort of Sears Furnishings. IKEA Furnishings. Team two. Sears Man Cave. Sears Man Cave. Team three.
Apple Sears.
Apple Sears. Okay, and this is like Sears appliances. Team four. I'm sorry, team five. Rain check. And oh, by the way, when you send me the presentation this next time, I want it by Saturday at 9 o'clock. Copy everybody else so that if I hit a reply all and return, if for some reason it doesn't get to the one person, then somebody will get it. I'm thinking ahead. Team five.
Slimming down, moving up.
Okay, slimming down, moving up. So this was slimming down, moving up. You had sort of product and service specialization. Slim down, move up. That's marketing. Okay. Team 6.
Profitable Sears.
Profitable.
I want that one.
Profitable Sears Shosh, though SHOS was one thing that was unique, right? The Sears for Home and Outlet.
Franchise service.
And Team 7? Arate. All right. So, your money on the line here. You cannot vote for your own team. Okay? You cannot vote for your own team. I want you to put your heads down. I don't want you to know what anybody else is voting. And this is where you're putting your investment. Your money when you graduate and when you have some. Team 1 is IKEA Furnishings. How many would put your money behind that one? Raise your hand if you would. Okay. Okay. Team 2, men's one-stop shop for men, Man Cave. Raise your hands. Okay. Team 3, Sears Appliances, Apple-esque. Okay. Team 5, slimming down and moving up. Product and service specialization. Team 6. This is profitable Sears, Shosh, SHOS. Team 7, Arate. Okay? All right. Team 5 got the most votes. Team 5 got the most votes, so nicely done. Team 5. More of your